Okay, we're on. Welcome everybody to the Planning and Infrastructure meeting on Wednesday, the 12th of June. Welcome councillors, welcome our visitors and welcome anyone who's watching. First of all, apologies. We have apologies from...
Councillor Owen, family matter. Councillor Shonk is on holiday.
I thought it was on a cruise.
I don't think out for a short person. What? Different type of holiday, isn't it? That's it.
Okay, so the minutes of the last meeting. You're proposing and seconded by Councillor Austin.
Voting that for me?
Voting. Oh, all in favour? All in favour, yeah. I have to be reminded to vote. Declarations of interest, any declarations of interest? No.
This one.
Okay. Now, item 4, a consultation we've got to comment the proposed pedestrian crossing in Margate Road. And we do have it on the map somewhere. It's at the top of Whitehall Road. Yeah.
So, members, there's a large questionnaire on this, which asks for a lot of personal information, but what we've thought was you can come up with your comment and I will email it through to KCC rather than fill in a questionnaire, which is quite irrelevant because it's asking. Yeah.
Has anyone got any comments? Oh, sorry, Councillor Austin.
I think we discussed this very briefly and informally at a previous meeting and agreed that we thought that a crossing somewhere there or some means of improving pedestrian access was a good thing. But I know Councillor Crittenden, who lives close by, said she wasn't sure about the location. And I think she's the best face to comment, but her comments, I think, are things we should pass on.
That's next thing.
I think the thing about this is, about the location, because I remember that comment, as you're right, Councillor Austin, so I looked at it to think, right, well, why are we commenting on the location? But as it rightly says, it's basically taking a current traffic island that is already there and just making it into a crossing, as well as the other adjustments of the boundaries and pavements, exactly. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, isn't it? Because it's not something that residents would suddenly be surprised by. There is an awareness of people crossing at that point already. So personally, I don't live there, and I go past obviously as a driver, but I don't see that it's in a particularly bad place. I would look at that road and think, well, I can see reasons for it to be somewhere or not somewhere all the way along that road. So to me, it's sort of like 50-50. But I can see why they're using the already existing.
Yeah.
Councillor Wynne.
The doctor's surgery is on the other side of the road, and I know on this side of the road, the Whitehall side of the road, there is some large older persons developments. So, and I think Sunfield surgery is back further along, I think, but at least it gives them, because there is no crossing.
It's further.
Is it that way?
It's up there.
But at least it gives them a crossing point, which is fairly near there, because there is no crossing point opposite the doctors, which I always find a bit weird when you've got a doctor's surgery and there's no crossing nearby.
I would say that if Councillor Crittenden has an objection as a resident, she could fill the form in personally.
I think she has already.
Right, okay. But I would propose we have no comment.
I would propose that we say that we're very pleased to see any improvement in pedestrian safety in Ramsgate, because we've struggled so hard to get anything.
Yes.
Could I just an additional thing? We need more traffic controlled crossings, because the one on Westcliff Road that has flashing police figures, I can't tell you the number of people that tell me they nearly get run over because they step out thinking something's going to stop and they don't stop. So, yeah, we welcome crossings, but that can be a fast road unless you go there
Yes.
first thing in the morning when it's backlogged for the two traffic lights, which is a good thing because there's lots of kids about. But yeah, it's a shame it's not a pelican crossing.
Traffic, yeah. Do we want to add that to our comment? That we welcome it?
Yes.
I would prefer it to be a pelican crossing.
Crossing.
We could try it.
We could try it, yeah.
I mean, that road is extremely excessive traffic used and quite often quite fast.
It's interesting, if you look at Tom Hortons, is that a traffic controlled one or not? They put one in, didn't they, when the
Can I,
I'm not sure.
sort of a pelican crossing, just to clarify, is,
With lights.
right, lights as in
Press a button.
press a button lights, because, I mean, I'm saying that for clarity of what we're doing, I mean, I do know what one is, but this does have flashing orange beacons and a high friction surface. The change of the road, I think, would also hurt drivers of,
that crossings coming.
yeah, exactly, so,
That doesn't exist on Westcliff Road.
yeah, it's not that I wouldn't want lights, but I can understand if they want, for the speed of the road, and I'm not talking about like fast speed, I'm just talking about for the continuity of flow of traffic through Thanet. There are already a number of traffic lights on those roads anyway, and I could understand why they've chosen not to do it, because already as you go along, you're sort of like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, and you're building up bottlenecks as you go down that road anyway.
Councillor Austin.
Could we also add that we particularly welcome the fact that there is widened footways on either side of the unit? So because part of the difficulty we have with a lot of our attempts to cross the road are how narrow the footway is and what a long way you've got to go to actually go across the road. So anything that makes it easier for pedestrians, I think we've got to welcome.
And wider footways equals trees.
Yeah, exactly. The one at the one at Tom Hortons is traffic controlled because the roundabout gets backlogged.
Yes.
So it's really weird that that's traffic controlled because that definitely traffic.
Yes, it does.
I don't think it's weird in that we've got this recently modern shopping centre bisected by a big main road with very little communication between it. So adding a pelican crossing, I would have thought was the least they could do.
Well, I mean, sorry, Chair, so I can just add in, I mean, the cynical part of me is a case of like they've probably done it because it's the cheaper option.
Yes, they have.
So I'm not.
What's within their budget?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying we shouldn't push for it.
I mean, the nearest traffic lights are down at the viaduct.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is quite a
It's quite a way.
quite a way. What have we got so far?
So councillor Austin proposed that our comment would be pleased to see any improvement in pedestrian safety in Ramsgate and welcome the fact that there are widened footways. The extra little bit which you weren't sure about and you need to accept is would prefer it to be a pelican crossing.
I would propose that, yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree to keep that? Yeah. Okay. So that's your.
Can we have a vote? All those in favour? Yeah, everyone in favour of that.
Okay.
So we have a comment on number 4. So now we move on to number 5. Planning applications, starting with Hope's Lane, which I believe is why we have visitors.
We have two ladies here. One is a neighbour of neighbouring property. This is the property concerned is the land adjacent to 27A Hope's Lane. Erection of one 2-storey, 2-bed detached dwelling together with associated access and parking following demolition of existing garage. Councillors Hudson, yourself and Councillor Shont called this in on behalf of residents' objections, which you can see on the screen or within your pack. And we'll be able to show you all the plans available. Do you want to go through it, Dean? Yeah.
So you've got the small area plan there, which they put a house in. So that's it, that's existing. There's a plot plan, and then that's proposed. So I'll show you some elevation, so it's existing. and then proposed.
It's very intrusive.
So there's no windows on either side of this property, but obviously being so close, it's going to be a loss of light aspect. And then all the plans we have, unfortunately, can zoom in on that.
What is the width of the,
Yeah, what is the
width of the property?
Can you show the one with the vehicle in it, Dean? Because that gives you an idea of the width of
It
the,
must be.
if you see the white vehicle there,
Where the
that's
car is.
that gives you an idea of the width of that piece of land.
So it's almost like two white vans, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
One and a half.
yeah, something like this come to floor planning in Broadstairs.
Coming back in our.
Okay, do we have any comments on this, please? Yes, that's next thing.
Would others just like to talk on this at all?
Committee can allow them. if
Oh,
they
would
wish
you
to
like to
make
say anything?
It's all, but I would come to mine, which is the one, not the one to the right, it's the one to the right. I have a wall that goes all the way along the edge of my house. The house is actually going to be 3 metres down from my house, so my side entrance is going to be 3 metres high. There's a wall that goes all the way along, and this last round, bit dry. Quite
Like some water?
quite unstable. So I'm going to build on what happens to go around. It actually intrudes into 4 people's properties. So mine on the right is the house on the left is divided into 2 flats, and then the house on the back. And the back garden they're planning to go into, well, it's part of the plot, but it actually goes into the house at the back.
Do they own that bit?
They own that bit, but it's sort of like a tri-stick.
This is where the shape on
But, you know, that's going to be right on their back garden, and there's going to be windows overlooking that. What else do I like?
Could I just tell you that we are just consultees,
I know.
and the decision will be taken.
All I want really is your support for the objection, really, because I can't make any.
It's not up to us.
I know it's not up to you. But
You might not know the answers to these questions, but the land at the moment is currently owned by an individual, and it's just that land, or is it one of the landowners in the
no,
field?
it was bought by a builder in
Right.
December.
Right.
So he hasn't used it at all.
Right.
He basically wants to take the garage down and put this house. I can't understand how big this house is going to be, because I've looked at the plans and some of the rooms are so small. But the man that's lives in the bottom flat, I mean, it looks bigger on there, but his back garden would be just dark and gloomy.
Yes.
So it's just a little triangle of it. He's just had all that paved so he can sit out in this. I think he put an objection because he's got a bit of mental health, really.
Which way is the north, Dean? Sorry.
We get the site plan back.
So you'll get no lights.
Oh,
Yeah.
North that way. Right. Okay.
So essentially this,
It's all right.
okay,
You can speak.
So essentially this particular application has no relevance to any affordable housing, obviously. It's being just recently bought by a builder just a few months ago. It's been a garage for the whole period of time, so it's going to be a change of use, essentially. There's just been the major factor of being is obviously right of light, so the sun actually will come in itself does not, it shades, so you've got kind of flat downstairs which would have very little light as a result of this building. It's 2-storey at the moment. He will have light because he's got the appeal in front of him, in front of where the garage is, but also the garage is sunken down on a 1-storey building, so in terms of
his courtyard, it will be in the dark, basically. You have a wall here, so you won't actually have a courtyard. Of course, that's going to interact with also my parents' property as well as the property behind. Essentially, as I say, it's a change of use, and as a result of this was a recent rejection that was put through because somebody at the corner there, just where the flats were, they decided to put some fencing up, and KCC advised that that was too dangerous, so that one of the flats decided to install, because it's on a bend, so we've got a double bend here, so KCC has actually rejected that application because of traffic safety. So what you're going to actually get here is the proposal is a car space, so that could be somebody putting a caravan on there at the top of the actual hill there, so that could obviously stop any kind of visual. And if you ever go along this street, Hopes Lane, so it's a cut through essentially from Milford Road to Tyson's Road. And so the traffic at 8 in the morning is, I'm worried about across the road. Because you've got people going to work, you've got, it's a hazard, and there's regular accidents on this bend essentially as well. So we've got a change of use where it was obviously a very static garage utilised for commercial purposes, as I say, overlooking neighbours. And also, one thing on the plans as well it does mention, which was highlighted by the officers at Family District Council, was in relationship to a local historical building. So there's a farmhouse which is a bit further along that Hopes Lane. So that whole area, historically, the reason why that garage is there, it comes as back on the back of a farmer that utilised that section for pigsties, essentially, and then he changed it into a garage for his own use for another neighbouring property, which is now sold a few years ago. So historically, it's always been like a garage. The piece of land is simply going to be there to make money, and essentially it's not in keeping with the area. They're thinking about putting an aluminium roof on, which I can't question as to why they're saying that it's in keeping with the area when it's an aluminium roof, essentially. And as I say, both obviously it'll interact with both my parents' property, but also particularly the property downstairs where there's quite a vulnerable chap that lives there. He will have to have his lights on all day. So of course, energy crisis, his only form of exercise is essentially his courtyard, which is quite small and confined as it is. To have this particular development placed right in front of his backyard literally would be quite significant impact. And also from the road, it's down to dip down into the front of the house. I'm just thinking how are they going to do the sewerage and the rainfall.
And the rain.
How it's my son did a lot of plans. It's on a flood risk, so they have to. That's something they've got to consider. Climate change. You can have a lot more rain probably. Aluminium roof. Can you put solar panels on it? I don't know.
Can I just suggest that you do ask for your 3 minutes at TDC planning, ask for your councillor and then ask your 3 minutes, because you do need to explain this to planning at TDC.
I know. Well, the only way I can do that is by one of the councils calling it in, and I've contacted 3 of them, and none of them have actually.
Who are your councillors?
Jim
Drive. Yeah. Deborah and Will Scobie.
Will Scobie.
Yeah, Will Scobie and Deborah. Yeah. Okay, so write to them again.
Yes.
Because the busy people, so they just haven't seen them. Write to them again, and also explain to them you want to talk and contact Democratic Services.
And Jim has had some.
Jim's had eye surgery.
But you can also ask one of your ward councillors to speak on your behalf, because we very often, well, I don't do it because I sit on planning, so I've got to be quite careful here because I can't predetermine myself.
The best person to speak for anybody is you, though, to be honest with you. All the councillor effectively can do is put your voice across. So they're not going to argue your case for you, they're just going to put your voice across. They could even ask for a script. So if you've got the chance to speak, then it's a lot stronger coming from you.
And make sure you stick to,
Your 3 minutes.
make sure you stick to your 3 minutes, but make sure you stick to proper planning.
Yeah.
You can't just say we don't like the aluminium roof and we don't like the look of it, but just not be count. But if you Google reasons for rejecting a planning application, impact on neighbours is an obvious one. Or character, so a loss of light, loss of amenity is not being able to use your backyard, so.
And you're both very articulate, well able to present your case, so.
Yeah, I think so.
There are two comments supporting the appearance of it.
There was one, but it's a duplicate, there was two, but there was one was duplication, so just, yeah.
Well, they don't seem to be the same. I looked at them this afternoon, supporting the look of it. Somebody had that, yes, Councillor Nixie.
So just so, again, the ladies in the room, we are always very keen to, you know, use a brownfield site, obviously, and you know, to infill and to create housing in an area where it's deemed important and so on and so forth and necessary. However, especially in KCC, we'll definitely have something to say on this. I would suggest at this time, and I would propose at this time, it's overdevelopment for that area.
Yes, exactly.
If I could say something.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am a great believer in filling in these little sites. Now, if it is not built, what is going to happen to it? Will the builder use it as a builder's yard? You have no control really over what he can do.
It's a garage at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's going to knock that down because the garage is no use to man nor beast. The fact that this slopes down, so it's actually lower than it would be otherwise, I think is in its favour. And I'm afraid I tend to support it because I do believe in filling in these little sites. I know you don't.
The neighbours, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced it has a terrible effect on the neighbours, because there's at least a metre either side of the house.
No, it wouldn't be, essentially. I think if you was to go along to that site,
Well, if there is a dilemma at TDC planning, we would go along and have a look. Councillor Wing.
I mean, I'd like to look at some of the dimensions. It's useful having you guys here, which once you've spoken at TDC, you can't speak again and we can't ask you questions. So it's quite rough, it's quite a serious situation. Are there windows on I can see windows on the side of this house, so clearly that building is going to impact on those windows on the house on the left-hand side. Is there windows in the house on the side house on the right? It's 29, does 29 have windows inside?
you have windows up here.
Yeah, on 20 hills, don't you?
And if you've got
So
and you've got them on 29 on
in the
your.
building that's being built,
How wide is it? How wide, Dean, have you got any measurements for the width of the building? I don't think they've provided.
They've just squared it up.
See, one of the things I'd say is there's not enough information on the plans.
well, I would agree with you because it hasn't given any dimensions at all.
No, not enough information on the plans. We can't, there's no accurate. We don't even know how far that corner is to the wall, how far this corner is, which is an important planning consideration. Distance.
This is the actual plans that were submitted.
Yes.
That triangle bit there is a lot smaller than what it looks.
Can we get back to the meeting, please? There is a scale on it, so it could be measured. And it looks, if you compare it to a doorway opening, it looks as if it is at least a metre, not much more, both of them on those corners.
I've made a proposal, I don't know if there's a second.
I'd like to second that proposal.
What, this overdevelopment?
Yes, overdo it.
And not enough detail.
Area. Do you mean
Yes.
the actual size of the plot? Or
No,
the area
there's plenty of information.
the actual
I think there isn't, because if going on what we've seen at TDC planning, that distance would be really important. I mean, there's not even the distance of the width of the plot. It's not my responsibility to start getting my little ruler out and measuring what things
Well,
might
that's
or
what
might
the
not
planners
do.
will do.
Well, that's their job, not my job on a committee.
Right, so we've got a second down.
Okay, those in favour that it's overdevelopment and those against.
There you go.
Thank you for presenting it, because you'll end up with the builder's yard.
Well, that's not planning consideration, is it?
If you want to stay, you're welcome. If you want to go, you're welcome as well. So I don't think you have to hang around. Oh, yeah, no.
Members, your next application is 1 St David's Road. Change of use from a single dwelling to four-bedroom HMO use class C4, together with removal of chimney and alterations to fenestration, and it's part retrospective. Councillor Makinson called this in. Thank you.
Well, it.
Oh, blimey.
This is very amateurish, isn't it?
No, I mean, it's okay. Dining room, that's exists.
Is this what it is now?
This is all existing, original ground floor plan.
So the ground floor existing is on the left, the proposed is on the right.
So there's 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, changing the lounge into bedroom.
And a living room, kitchen, living room.
Moving the kitchen into the existing
Yeah,
bedroom.
and then upstairs, presumably 2 more bedrooms.
Bedroom 1, 2 being changed into 3 and 4 with
En suite for both. Gosh. And we have the size of bedroom 3 and 4 now that they're changing en suites.
these are the only plans that we could provide.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, they are quite nice little terraced
They're
houses,
nice
but
houses,
they're not
but not suitable.
generous.
Not for HMO.
Is the one within 100 metres?
But it's retrospective, isn't it?
Part retrospective.
Yes.
I suggest that is overdevelopment. The bin store and the bike store and all that stuff are not there. Though it shouldn't be much different from when it was a single dwelling.
Again, we come back to the situation that we had on Elms Avenue, or not Elms Avenue, on Effingham Street, where we told them there was not enough living room space for the people there. And there is not enough living room space.
No.
And we told this is high end, it will be professionals in there. You know, you
That's
can't
a
much
bigger
stuff
building.
in your bedroom. They need to lose one room, and that living room area needs to be bigger.
And the kitchen at the back where bedroom 2 is, yes.
I mean, you know, as a lass that went to university, I mean, I rented a room like that and had a terrace house like that.
Yeah.
But we were there for term time, you know, and we were out most of the time.
Yeah.
Going back. But anyway, but I agree. It's the living area that really frightens me. It's like, that's your kitchen. You're going there to eat and the rest of it, and then you've got nowhere else to disperse.
Yeah.
And so, for that reason alone, I would again propose overdevelopment in this particular area. It's a very
I mean, I do think, I disagree with you about Effingham Street. We need somewhere for young people to live. If you're a nurse or a teacher or anything, we need some of people to live because they can't afford flats.
Yes, I agree with you, but they need a living room.
But if that would be, they have a living flat. No, I'm not saying that.
I know, but what I'm saying is like, do you know what I mean? If somebody was turning around and saying, right, well, let's change it into two flats,
That's different.
you could understand it and you'd think, well, fair enough. But when you're trying to shoehorn 4 individuals in there with one living space.
And I know it's not a planning consideration, and I know we're not allowed to mention it, but most of our people will have a partner, and so actually, you know, you end up with 8 adults in there.
And parking is very, very difficult.
I mean, to get to
I know.
bedroom 2, you've got to go through the kitchen and living room. That's not sort of acceptable in a shared house.
I was going to say that might have been okay, Councillor Nixie, when we were at university, and you're younger than I am, but I don't think the University of Kent would let students stay in accommodation like that because they're very fussy about their students.
Okay, so can we go with overdevelopment?
Yes.
And not enough living area.
Yes.
Insufficient shared living area.
Yeah. You need
No,
a second, though.
Yeah, all those in favour? Yeah.
Are we going to add all the details about bin stores and cycle stores?
Yes.
And is there an HMO within 100 metres
Well,
as the crow flies?
Unless you're on Queen Street, in which case you can have one next door but one. Next.
Right, number 3, TV bond.
Oh God, here we go.
Engineering supplies in Bristol space, outline application for the erection of 8 commercial industrial units following the demolition of existing buildings, including access, landscape, layout and scale. It's in the conservation area. Councillor Austin, you called this in?
I did.
You said that was addressing.
Well, we've been going at this for 2 or more years now, and every time it comes back with some relatively minor alteration. This time, what they've done is allowed for turning space at the far end, up at the top of the up at the top of the diagram, because highways objected about access and about the fact that vehicles would have had to have backed out onto the top of the high street where it's really busy. So now they don't. There's still no parking. There's still too many units for the space, and the plans now actually go across the doorstep of number 135, which has a door on the side there. There's the main door is on the side. They have a door on the front, but the main door that they use is on the side, and that's where their bins are as well. And I am advised by people who have checked the land registry that the whole of this area here actually has no known owner.
Yes,
the applicant has decided that he's going to claim it. The other thing about the designation of the land is that it is designated as industrial land, but there is no record of Mr. Bond ever having put in a planning application. And as the name of the firm suggests, TV Bond Engineering Supplies, it is a place from which he sold engineering items. It has never, until the current owner took over, been used for industrial uses.
Yes.
It's right in the middle of a residential area, in the conservation area. Nobody is saying there shouldn't be something on this site, but it's too big, it's too much. There are no parking spaces for visitors or deliveries. It's on a very busy road. It's too wide for the space that there is. It encroaches on other people's land, and there are legal proceedings going on about that.
Yes.
It's generally not sufficiently improved to be worth looking at. Having said that, it is due to come to planning committee in either July or August.
Yes.
So, having seen this application 3 times, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it 8 or 9 that they used?
It started with 8 and it's gone on to 7.
So, original comments from ourselves were, again, support in principle the use of the land, but consider there to be too many units within the building outline and not enough parking provision. Access to busy highways is a concern. Areas densely populated, and to avoid disturbance of any light industrial use should have usage time restrictions in place, which I think I would be probably back to proposing that we, that definitely don't lose sight of that previous comment and bring that one up again. I mean, looking at this again, of course, I think there are still too many units. Why they need that many? Because it's like if you want to put light industrial use into an area, but you're in a high residential area, then you've got to do it sympathetically, haven't you? And I do think, especially with regards to 135 High Street, is it?
Yes.
Then that's quite an issue, isn't it? That you've got all of that traffic going past your door when there isn't, it isn't necessarily his land. I mean, that's their fight to fight, isn't it?
Yes.
It would concern me a lot that would completely change.
I'll just say, first of all, that is the existing access. So it is going past his door anyway.
Yes, but it's not 7 units worth of traffic going past his door.
There are a lot of units up there. And secondly, you can walk around Ramsgate and see manhole covers with TV Bond written on them.
Yeah.
But
he didn't make them there. He made
How do you
them
know
there and
that?
sold them from there.
How do you know?
That's what I'm told from.
Yes.
I've researched the history of the site.
Well, what I said to the previous one is that if we turn this down, it will stay as it is, okay? Which is a ramshackled.
Well, that's not a planning matter.
Absolutely.
It's not a planning matter.
It's no relevance to this planning application. We are dealing with the facts in front of us here. What is going to happen, what could happen, is of no concern. I would propose that we stick to our original comment, especially where it comes to too many units and the element of usage time restrictions with regards to neighbours.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
members,
Councillor
the proposed, sorry, you want me to? The proposal is that you repeat the comment of 6th of September and 7th of December. That was 23 and 22. Just repeat the same thing.
We can actually say we appreciate the fact that they've made an effort to make the highway access safer, but we still have these concerns.
And there's still some legal battles going on about who owns the land. So surely no planning permission can be given on land.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can.
But also there's the matter of change of use because it's been used for car braking more recently, which has been the noisiest thing that's happened in the
The use class they've applied for, they will not be able to do anything like that causes fumes or noise.
They are doing,
Yes.
no permission, and the enforcement have been round and had a little word.
Right. You have a proposal.
Okay, we have a
Just
proposal.
Seconded.
All those for? And I'm against. I think that should be allowed to go ahead. Well, they're my neighbours.
I think you're missing the point, Chair. I'm not saying it shouldn't go ahead. I'm not proposing it shouldn't go ahead. What we have just proposed is the number of units is too high and it needs to have elements of consideration to residents in which those restrictions ought to be in place. At no point has anybody ever turned around and said something light industrial shouldn't happen there. So that's, you can't put words into our mouths because that's not fair. So it's like, oh, well, nothing will happen then. And it's like, no.
I'm back on that, because invariably when you reject, which is, oh, you can't reject this, it will be appealed. No, you're sending it back for people to think again.
Yes, thank you.
The number of people that actually appeal is very, very, very tiny. Most people look at their plans like I did and adapt them and resubmit them free of charge.
Yes. Yes, it's free of charge.
Okay.
Okay.
So, members,
Spencer Square.
you've got two applications from Spencer Square. The first one is listed building application and normal application, 14 to 15 Spencer Square. That's all right. Application for listed building consent for the erection of metal platform with balustrading to form small terrace at first floor level to rear elevation with associated staircase and small brick build up on existing wall for privacy, including replacements of 2 windows within rear extension at ground and first floor levels with timber, French doors and installation of 4 vents and 1 soil vent pipe to rear, together with internal repairs and alterations. So this is listed building, so it's the 2 consents. We can comment on both as a whole. According by councillors Austin and Makinson, reason for calling extensive work on a listed building. Thank you, members.
So this is obviously a really good existing on the left and the proposed on the right. So they're adding in.
Yeah, we
That's the staircase.
need to see the neighbours there. I hate those little efforts. I've seen them before.
What do you mean, Pat? Sorry.
A little metal balcony and then stairs down to the garden from the first floor.
Then the vents to the rear are to do with changing the hallway, which is on the first and second floor, and putting bathrooms
A bathroom.
on each level.
Yes, Councillor Nixie.
I don't know, do you know anybody else that could tell me, especially if people know the road really well. Has this been done, is precedent been set in the road with regards to the balcony at the back?
Councillor Wing.
I looked over the whole of that road, and obviously not too high, because I'm only 2 floors. I mean, the three of us always send this to each other and say, what do you think? What do you think? And we said, oh, this looks all right, but we called it in anyway. Am I being cynical? Because the only place I've seen stairs going up from the back up to the landing is on the back of Paragon, where we've got flats. I was going to say this preparatory to flats. I'm now got my cynical head on, now I've seen it, because there are platforms. Veronica's house has got a platform. She's got no stairs from the back.
Yeah.
And next door's got a spiral staircase. Yes. Oh no, Veronica's got a spiral staircase.
There are several of those houses along there.
So there is. I mean, one or two, but I'm feeling quite cynical about the fact we've got bathrooms on every floor, and that there's one back dividing it up. So I can't see why you would have stairs up to a balcony when you can access it from the inside of the house.
Well, I actually have been in this house and it needs quite a lot of work done internally. There was an absence of bathrooms, an absence of toilets, and it had been left for quite, so I'm not surprised that they're wanting to put...
I can't see on the plan where that balcony is.
It's at the back.
It's on the half landing.
That's it there.
I think it's on the half landing.
Yeah, no, yes, I realise that, but it's not actually very clear on the plan, is it?
No.
So it's going out of the kitchen down to the garden so they can hang their washing up.
Coming back up the stairs.
Well, it's not really over, I mean, it's right at the end of that, which is a cul-de-sac, this road, hasn't it? It doesn't go anywhere, so it's not overlooking, and there's quite a substantial wall.
It's a kitchen.
Well, they only need one kitchen if it's a single dwelling.
Kitchen on the
Basement, yeah.
There's two kitchens.
Yep.
Ah, okay, so they're going
to do it into flats.
into flats, yeah, they're going to let out the basement flat, which I don't particularly, that's not what they're applying for.
No.
I think the stairs at the back are now accessed from the back, because you can walk down the alley and access the back.
Yeah.
Not many people do.
Dean, can you go bring that up? What are the reasons? Because they're just numbering rooms.
No.
I don't think there's another property on that back with stairs that do that. There isn't. The only one I can see is Veronica's with a spiral. That just goes up to a landing.
Yeah, there are a couple of others that do have a spiral staircase, but this is a double the width of any of the other properties on there.
14 and 15.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm considering proposing no comment. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything to that before I do.
Quite happy
I
with
would
no
propose no comment.
I mean, if they've got me nosing up. But if they turn it into two flats, then there are all sorts of fire regulations and building regulations. So that will come straight into play, and they'll have to apply for change. For those changes. So
frankly, with that house would have been to convert the bottom into a basement flat. Have you seen it?
I sort of think no comment, because I'm just being cynical.
All right, so in favour? Yeah, no comment.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Video. Our slides will be out.
They could sort of unofficially have it in two flats.
Yeah, they could.
Son or daughter or something.
Yes. Or grandparents living in the basement.
Oh, right.
Yes. Yeah, which is a very good idea. Next actual use.
Thank you. The next application is 19 Spencer Square, erection of single-storey Fulhamite render to rear following removal of external stairs and alteration to existing window, replacement of French doors with timber sash window, replacement of mono-pitch roof on existing rear extension with flat roof and parapet, replacement of UPVC rainwater goods with aluminium cast iron effect pipes, insertion of window to cellar, replacement of doors, repointing of walls to front and rear, together with landscaping of rear garden following removal of decking and render to walls. Listed building and applications, that's a 2, 1 comment is fine. Called in by Councillor Austin, reasons calling listed building conservation area, potential effect on neighbours. Thank you, members.
Do we know what fulminate render is?
No.
Is it lumpy brown render?
I don't know.
It looks like it, actually.
I think there are some, again, I could say, and I can say, this building is desperately in need of refurbishment.
We thought that when we looked at it, we thought it was actually probably an improvement. We thought we'd call it in any way just to have a very close look at it, because obviously the houses are very cheap by
It
charge.
hasn't had anything done to it for literally decades. And I think it's good that it's being cared for, and it looks as if they're should be doing.
Is there, again, somebody that overlooks all of those properties? Maybe a telescope out there like this, but, I mean, is it mainly brick or is it render?
The top halves seem to be brick, and then as you get lower down, sometimes there's some renderings. Not all rendering, and even on the other side, if you look at the front of the properties, some of them are rendered all the way up, and then some of them are part rendered with some brickwork, and some are completely brickwork. So there's very much a standard, but it's mixed.
Yeah, there is an awful lot going on at the back of those houses. That picture that from before, they've got all sorts of conservatories and extensions.
Huge amounts of individuality in the back of the square. Yeah.
I mean, again, I'd be tempted to propose no comment.
Although I've not seen that tree.
I was about to say that.
I better be having a look at that tree.
It's like
Just tree. That's actually a false one, in a false.
Yeah. Definitely no comment, because this is a lovely house and it will be back to being a lovely house again.
It's not a listed building, is it? It's just conservation area.
No, this is a listed.
It's listed building consent, that's why there's two, yeah.
Application, yeah.
Well, the conservation officer will look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got a proposal from.
Busy out Spencer Square.
No comment, seconded, yeah.
Yeah, all in favour? Okay, we've reached the end of the planning applications, and I'm afraid the public has to leave now.
The